Donald Trump is collapsing in public over his disastrous war in Iran, which continues to escalate. And now Trump is getting a taste of his own medicine as Governor Gavin Newsom powerfully calls Donald Trump out in public and is showing no mercy. Good. Governor Newsom is posting memes of Vladimir Putin trapping Donald Trump with a Big Mac, showing how Donald Trump has been ensnared in this catastrophic war by figures like Putin and Netanyahu, and Trump is but a pawn destroying the United States. Upon the news that investors are now betting that overall U.S. inflation over the next 12 months will surge above 5%, Governor Newsom posts a meme of J.D. Vance saying, "Have you said thank you once?" And Governor Newsom then listed what $200 billion should be spent on in the United States. Now, as I'm sure you are aware from watching the MeidasTouch network, the Trump regime is now demanding that Congress authorize not the war, because Trump went into this war with Netanyahu without congressional authorization. This is an unlawful war, but Donald Trump is now demanding $200 billion more for this unlawful war. This as Donald Trump has deployed the 86th Airborne, while Donald Trump has deployed Marine Expeditionary Units, not just on the USS Tripoli coming from Japan, that's arriving next week, but also from San Diego as well. Thousands and thousands of troops now heading to the Middle East for a possible ground invasion of the Karg Island or the coast of Iran. So $200 billion is what Donald Trump wants. And as Governor Newsom says, $200 billion would be enough to double the annual per person spending on K through 12 education, expand the Affordable Care Act tax credits for 7 years, provide up to 2 million people the SNAP benefits they need, provide the middle class a tax break of $3,500. Instead, we are spending it on an illegal war. And I like that Governor Newsom calls it out. This is an unlawful war. And this is only the beginning, Governor Newsom says. More money will be wasted. More lives will be lost. Governor Newsom then gave an interview where he talks about this disastrous and unlawful war, where 13 American soldiers have been killed, 140 maimed, while Donald Trump posts clips about video games. Here, play this clip.
Trump is a jackass. He is. Our alliances, truth, trust, tariffs, the grift. I'm sorry to be, I don't want to lose you by being too flippant. I mean, this is the guy who calls me new scum, okay? The President of the United States, he's 80 years old. I write in the book about an 8-year-old that used to call me new scum. The bully of Baltimore. The President of the United States. The guy dresses, cosplays as the Pope and Superman. Picture on the side of Mount Rushmore, all caps.
Don't forget the AI videos. They're very unsettling.
And the AI videos. And you want unsettling, you're in the middle of a war. 13 human beings, American soldiers died, 140 maimed. Lives will maybe never recover. And he's out there with video game images, AI-generated images. This is madness.
More from Governor Newsom right here as he describes how Donald Trump has turned the greatest office into the greatest grift. Let's play this clip.
Crony capitalism, state capitalism. You saw the TikTok deal, $10 billion going to the government, 10% of Intel going to the government, 25% of AMD, NVIDIA going to the government, MP Materials, the golden shares. What a tariffs? What's the whole tariff regime have in common? Personal portfolio of Donald Trump. He lowered the tariffs 26% in Vietnam after he got the golf course approved. The $1.5 billion golf course, they fast-tracked the approval in Vietnam. Ask Witkoff, Jared Kushner, the great grift. The Board of Peace in the Middle East is about getting a piece of the deals. The $2 billion to World Liberty Financial. In return, high-valued computer chips, national security questions in the UAE. All these foreign trips, what does it have in common? He sends out the envoys for the business deal, for the personal portfolio first, to set the tone and tenor for the great grift. And I haven't even gotten to the $10 billion he's negotiating of your money with the IRS, with himself, the $230 million at the Department of Justice. We don't even have to remind you of the plane. It's not just the $400 million gift there. It was the $900+ million that was in the big, beautiful bill. Tax cuts for billionaires, cuts to poor people and working folks, and $900 million to retrofit his airplane. This is a corruption story, the likes of which we've never experienced in modern American history.
More from Governor Newsom here. Powerful words indeed, where Governor Newsom lists what Donald Trump has turned the United States of America into, with GDP growth down, with a jobs recession. Let's just play the clip right here.
I mean, across the spectrum, you saw the GDP numbers, 0.7%. You saw last month's job numbers, minus 92,000, 145,000 less blue-collar jobs than there were a year ago. The cuts to Medicaid, the cuts to food stamps, the big tax cuts to billionaires and corporations. The hell is going on in this country? And I haven't even gotten into that first week of a war. It can't figure out the end game. They can't figure out, the real reason. If the real reason would just, if you're here, please stand up. How the hell we're going to get out of this? It's a wrecking ball presidency.
Governor Newsom is also posting the following. Gold dropping below $4,500, the biggest weekly fall since 1983. Gold is crashing. Trump promised a golden age, Governor Newsom writes. He just forgot to mention the collapse part.
Brett here, and I've got an important report to share that relates to this war, our planet, and our future, so let me interrupt for a quick minute. As we're watching this escalating war with Iran, with oil prices surging, the Strait of Hormuz becoming a global choke point, and energy markets driving geopolitical decisions, there's a bigger picture that doesn't get talked about enough, and that's this. The very thing fueling these conflicts is fossil fuels. According to a new report highlighted by ABC News, experts are increasingly saying that a global shift to renewable energy, things like wind, solar, geothermal, could actually reduce the likelihood of war. Why? Well, because unlike oil, renewable energy isn't concentrated in a few regions that countries fight over. You can generate it almost anywhere. Think about what we're seeing right now. Iran has leverage in this war in large part because of its oil. The Strait of Hormuz matters because 20% of the world's oil flows through it. That creates vulnerability, that creates tension, that creates war incentives. But solar panels, wind farms, those don't create the same kind of geopolitical choke points. And here's where it gets even more relevant. While experts are saying renewable energy could actually lead to less conflict globally, what are Trump officials reportedly doing? Well, they're considering paying nearly $1 billion to shut down offshore wind projects that could power hundreds of thousands, even millions of homes, and instead pushing more investment into fossil fuels. At a moment when this war is literally showing us the dangers of relying on oil, the policy response is to double down on it. Experts quoted in the report pointed out something really striking, that historically, oil has been tied directly to major conflicts from World War II to the Gulf War to today. Meanwhile, renewable energy sources have never once sparked a major international war. That doesn't mean the transition is perfect. There are still challenges, of course, like sourcing materials for batteries, but the overall trajectory points towards something important. A world less dependent on fossil fuels is a world with fewer incentives for these kind of conflicts. And look, nobody is saying switching to renewables will magically end all wars. But when energy isn't a weapon, when it's decentralized, when it's abundant, that changes the equation. So as we watch this war unfold, it's worth asking, are we learning the lesson here or ignoring it? Let me know what you think. Leave a comment with your thoughts on this, on clean energy, on Trump's doubling down on fossil fuels. Get loud. Now is the time we need to hear from you, and I'm going to be reading all of your comments. Okay, Ben, back to you.
Upon the news that Donald Trump is now removing sanctions on Iranian oil, and for the first time since the 1990s, Iran is able to ship its oil to the United States. If you're like, Ben, what the hell are you talking about? Donald Trump removed sanctions on Iranian oil during the war. Yep, he did. 140 million barrels of it. Iran can do with it what it wants. Iran is getting rewarded for outmaneuvering and checkmating Donald Trump, Governor Newsom writes. This is blood oil. Trump and Besant have betrayed the American people and our soldiers. very, very true. We also know that mortgage rates have been increasing dramatically as well. Governor Newsom explains first-time home buyers will now be paying $22,680 thanks to Donald Trump's illegal war. This is the increase in mortgage rates since the end of February will cost a typical first-time home buyer that $22,680 number. Politico reported that political operatives within the Trump regime raked in millions of dollars in commissions from the Department of Homeland Security ad campaign and from other DHS initiatives. Should also be noted that Corey Lewandowski, who many people believe was having a relationship with Kristi Noem, that he was pushing contracts towards businesses that he was affiliated with. And that's why the Department of Homeland Security had that $100,000 approval cap, so that any time more than $100,000 needed to be spent, Kristi Noem can look at it and divert the money to either Lewandowski or to somebody else that was in their orbit. That's what lots of people believe. We'll be digging deeper into those facts. And Democratic Congressmember Moskowitz said something to that effect on Legal AF as well. Take a look at the Dow Jones. Dow Jones crashing. A horrible week for the Dow Jones. Governor Newsom writes, tired of the golden era, wired the red era. And Governor Newsom shows one of Donald Trump's posts. Donald Trump's been posting social media messages about his golden sneakers. Rare Trump sneakers listed for $180,000 at a sneaker con in Riyadh. Well, that sneaker con ain't happening now while there is a war in the Middle East. So, what the hell are you posting, you deranged, delusional sicko, Donald Trump? But Governor Newsom says your gas prices are skyrocketing. Your 401k is plummeting. But don't worry. Donald Trump is laser focused on selling his gold sneakers this morning. That's his focus, his gold sneakers. Also, if you've been seeing airports lately, whether it's Denver or elsewhere, these airports are a utter mess under the Trump regime. A power outage at Denver International impacted operations for a couple of hours this past week. Governor Newsom says airports to nowhere, thanks to Secretary Sean Duffy from the Real World Road Rules Challenge. Let's take a look at what the markets visually looked like on Friday. Brew Market says, happy Friday, all in the red. Governor Newsom writes, sir, we are tired of winning. No more, please. No more, please. Also, I think this was an important message from Governor Newsom's interview, where he talks about how Donald Trump wants to put America in reverse, whether it's civil rights, voting rights, LGBTQ rights, women rights. We can't lose our country. And I think it's an important message from Newsom here as well. Let's just play this message.
They are putting America in reverse. Civil rights, voting rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights. They want to bring us back. Truly. Maybe it's not even a 1960s world. Sometimes I wonder if it's an 1860s world. We will lose this country. And so we got to win the messaging war as well. And that's why we have to be more aggressive and clear.
And then Governor Newsom, in order to mock Donald Trump, posts this meme right here. People are saying Gavin Newsom ended 12 wars, twice as many as Trump. And Governor Newsom responds, big if true. And as I said at the outset, Governor Newsom giving Donald Trump a taste of his own medicine right there. Donald Trump absolutely sending this country in the wrong direction right now. Disastrous and unlawful war in Iran. It needs to be called out with moral clarity. And I'm glad that in the clips I showed you, Governor Newsom is doing just that, calling it out with moral clarity. Let me know what you all think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. And thank you all so much for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.